Okay, so a very warm welcome to all the teachers in today's Samwad session. The topic of today's session is the art of career counseling in teachers. So I'm hopeful that every single teacher who has joined us here today finds this session incredibly helpful and joins in for a discourse on the same. So, let me first start off by introducing our platform, which is Gurushala. It is an initiative of Indus Towers Limited and Vodafone India, and it is implemented by Pratham Education Foundation. Now, teachers, very few things to note before we begin the session today. First is to make notes of ideas and questions during the session. We'll be discussing many things pertaining to career counseling and how to navigate this for students. So make sure you jot down your ideas and questions in your notepad and comment them down on the chat box. Second thing is to type your questions, answers, and ideas in the comment section, just like I mentioned, either in English or in Hindi, whichever you're comfortable in. And the third is to sign up for the Gurushala platform for regular updates on webinars like this, trainings, and competitions. Now, we have a very special guest today for our session who will be talking us through the art of career counseling. May I please welcome Miss Pooja Jairam. Very warm welcome to you. Just to introduce a few things about her, she holds a master's and bachelor's in education. She has had 8 great years of experience in advancing foundation literacy and numeracy. And presently, she serves as a senior consultant for NCRT, contributing her expertise to development of guidelines of national book promotion policy. We're very glad to have you here and very thankful for taking your time out to be with her today and discuss about this. So over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi, Mansi. Thank you
Hello.
so much. And namaskar, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. So I think we'll just start with the question that what is career counseling, right? So I think career counseling is basically when I look at career counseling, I see two things, right? First is what to do, like in terms of work, किस तरीके का काम करना चाहते हैं बच्चे और आगे क्या होता है कि क्या पढ़ना चाहते हैं, किस एरिया में उनकी एक्सपर्टीज है। सो इसमें सबसे पहले ये आता है कि जैसे हमारे बच्चे अप्रैल या कुछ क्षेत्रों में स्टूडेंट्स जॉइन अस इन से जून। सो फर्स्ट इज जस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि बच्चों की प्रोफाइलिंग कैसी है, राइट? अक्सर ये चीज़ हमने देखा है 9th and 10th स्टैंडर्ड व्हेन चिल्ड्रन आर इन 9th and 10th grade. Students who they have a tendency to stigmatize subjects as social science, and उनको लगता है कि हमें मैथ्स पढ़ना चाहिए जबकि मैथ्स में उनकी इतनी अच्छी पकड़ नहीं होती। सो इन दैट केस आई थिंक पहला चीज होता है जस्ट टू हैव regular PTMs, talk to your children and tell them very honestly that these are subjects that they are good in and these are subjects that they have to develop in, to develop their expertise in, right? I think that's the first thing of career counseling is like knowing your children and उनको बताना कि कौन सा सब्जेक्ट्स में उन्हें वर्क करना है एंड व्हाट आर उनकी स्ट्रेंथ और वीकनेसेस क्या है, राइट? सो और मेरे हिसाब से टीचर्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल है करियर काउंसलिंग में, क्योंकि टीचर्स दो तरीके के रोल प्ले करते हैं। एक तो रहता है कि एक कोच का, so students will have short term goals, right? Like, ma'am, I need to get 70% in maths, so then the teacher, or I need to clear this particular exam. So in that case the teacher plays role, the teacher essentially is a coach, so the teacher will help, okay, these are the books that you have to practice, this is how you need to attempt your exam. But the bigger role that they play is of a mentor, right? In which they they tell them, okay, these are the career options that we have, and these like for example humanities, when we speak of humanities or arts, automatically students think that, okay, this is a teaching, this is the only career that you have is either you become a teacher, which is not the case, right? So it is to have dialogues and to tell students that like there are an ample there are a lot of jobs and a lot of careers that they can pursue in humanities, which necessarily don't have to be a teaching profession. So that's the first thing. And second thing that I would say is the role of a teacher should be in developing practical skills. Often at work, I feel that things that take us ahead that we need more is how to get the work done. कंटेंट या दैट द जो एसेंशियल है वो वर्क का, वो हम सीख जाते हैं करते करते, बात करते करते वी लर्न. बट मेनली चीजें होती हैं दैट हाउ डू यू गेट सर्टेन थिंग्स डन. तो इसमें आई थिंक टीचर का रोल ये हो सकता है कि वाइल दे आर इन स्कूल उनसे हैंड ऑन एक्टिविटीज करवाना. जैसे दिस कुड बी लाइक you give children a task to organize, let's say a small skit on on awareness. So the children lead the whole project, right? शुरुआत से लेके एंड तक वो प्ले को प्लान करना हो, उसको एग्जीक्यूट करना हो. तो इससे क्या होता है, दे व्हेन दे वर्क विद डिफरेंट पीपल, दे वर्क विद देयर जूनियर्स, सीनियर्स, अदर स्कूल स्टाफ, they will learn the softer skills जो necessary हैं work में. So that is one thing. Second thing I would say is it's very important to cultivate critical thinking. मतलब बच्चों को पता होता है, दे नो, यू आस्क देम एनी ओके इंडिया को इंडिपेंडेंस कैसे मिला था, वो लोग सब बता देंगे इस डेट पे मिला था. लेकिन इफ यू आस्क द चिल्ड्रन की इंडिपेंडेंस क्यों जरूरी था, उसमें आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं हमारे बच्चे लैक कर जाते हैं. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम उनमें क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग प्रमोट करें. कैसे प्रमोट कर सकते हैं? वी कुड डू इट इन अ फॉर्म ऑफ डिबेट हो गया, क्लासरूम डिस्कशन हो गया. सो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग से आई थिंक वो बच्चे स्टैंड आउट करेंगे उनके बाकी बाकी जो उनके पियर्स से. what is that one thing that will help a student stand out is critical thinking. And yes, and I think the last thing that I would say, what's the role of a teacher, would be to develop entrepreneurship skill in students. If you look at Aurobindo or Gandhi, everyone speaks about making children independent. Education system should be one that where children are independent, right? Independent thinkers. They're able to do things on their own. So think about it now. In today's time, how many of us know how to do stitching, right? Like, so things like tailoring, things like fixing a tap are skills that I feel that every child should definitely know. So one good thing of good of teachers could be that you do your studies, also pick up certain skills, like it could be tailoring, it could be something related to carpentry, that you have to fall back on in case it is a fact that we have a lot of children who drop out after class 8 or class 10. In that case, if they know a skill which is not academic, they'll have something to fall back on.
So that was really insightful. And I really liked the part where you said that once you ask them a question like India got independence, but why did India get independence, or why did we feel the need for independence? That's often a place where we lack our imagination, where we lack that curiosity to know more. So just on that context, I would like to just, broaden another question. Is that can you discuss the importance of fostering self-awareness and understanding in one's strengths and interests in the context of effective career counseling of school students?
Could you elaborate that question a
Sure.
little more?
I was just saying, what do you think is the importance of knowing oneself and understanding one's strengths and interest when it comes to career counseling? I mean, it's one
Right.
thing for teachers to provide you information on what all you can do and what are the arenas that you can explore. But as a
Yeah.
student themselves, what are the things that they can offer to to a teacher for them to know more about what
Right.
they can provide?
Okay, right. So हाँ, मतलब there are a few things or few subjects that automatically interest us, right? So for example, it could be like there are some children who are wo their art of storytelling, or they have a natural desire to they have a natural interest in let's say a subject like social science. So I think it's important, like as teachers, that we have to develop and develop and build confidence in our children, saying that okay, if the subject interests you, you should go ahead and you should have a career, think of having a career in this sector instead of going by what the market demands, which is true, right? Like at any given point, like students who take up science or commerce are there's a common conception that students who take up science or commerce, they're going to earn more as compared to those who will be taking arts or humanities. But it's very important to also know that career should be one that you really enjoy. So for this, I think I think NCRT has come up with like an online portal called Tamanna. So there are a lot of there are a lot of which has so I'll just briefly, I mean, I'll share that link at the at the end of the webinar. So Tamanna has these tests that children can take in order to know that okay, this is how I'll respond to a particular situation, and given this career is will suit me, or I should do something in this career. So I think, and टीचर्स को भी थोड़ा उस चीज को उठा के गाइड करना है कि ओके, आपका रिजल्ट ये बोलता है, दिस इज व्हाट इंटरेस्ट यू, व्हाई डोंट यू हैव अ करियर इन दिस फील्ड.
So there's a question that I would like to, I mean, it's shown on the chat. Yeah. How can educators stay updated on the current industry trends and emerging career paths to provide information to their students?
So the first thing that comes to my mind would be, I think, reading newspaper.
Right.
I think every schools should have at least 10-15 minutes a teacher should spend on reading newspaper, because all the industry trends up newspaper. If you open a newspaper, last के pages में talks about industry, talks about economics, right? तो उसमें आपको पता चलता है that कौन सा sector है जो which is more likely to grow in the next 10 years. The editorial page of the newspaper helps you. If you read the editorial page properly, the editorial page helps you to bring perspective. The first 2-3 pages of the newspaper will help you to know what recently kya kya cheezein hua hai, what conferences have happened, what is happening in in sports or in politics. So I think reading newspaper would be something that teachers should encourage. And yes, and then in uske follow mein, I think registering with the nearest employment exchange.
Mhm.
There's something called the employment exchange where where they can go and register. One thing
Mhm.
that I would also say is that it's important for school, like in career counseling, there's only so much that teachers can do in their individual capacity. It also calls for an institutional support,
Yes.
either from school or from the departments. Hence I think partnering with the local NGOs is something that teachers and head of schools can do. uh, क्योंकि things like computer skills को develop करना, we are living in an age की people are speaking about AI and technology. So इन सब चीजों को government through लेके आना, I think it will be easier if we partner with local NGOs, or we partner with, if there's a community library है या community center है, जिनके साथ हम partner करके we can help, and वहाँ उनके through हम ये skills बच्चों में develop कर सकते हैं. Yeah, so newspaper, I feel that should definitely be the starting point of moment आप ninth standard से ही काफी schools में ये already है. Lot of schools have, they spend 10 minutes of their assembly time in reading newspaper. So I think newspaper would be the
Wonderful.
starting point. Yeah.
So newspapers and the employment exchange, that's the two
Yeah.
mediums that you're recommending.
Yeah, because see, the setup is already there. I think
Right.
almost Sari school, these government setups are already ready. You don't have to go out
Right.
and look out for them.
Hmm.
This could be the starting point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, since we were discussing before the session started, something about, you were mentioning about the focus on science and math being the two biggest career options that parents and teachers usually go for, and
Yes.
not focusing more on the humanities side of it. Could you share some light on that from your personal experience or whatever that you could think of at the moment?
Yeah. So, see, achieving mastery in foundational literacy and numeracy in particular has been a struggle. Like, we have a lot of our children are not meeting the basic expectations, or the basic thing, or meeting the basic criteria, right? In such a scenario, I feel that so for example, if we have a child who's not who's very weak in say a subject like mathematics, and we know कि 6th 8th में भी बच्चे को concepts clear नहीं है, it makes sense in telling the child upfront and talking to the parents through PTM that बेटा आप इसको आगे मत proceed करो, right? You ensure that you meet the basic requirement, but please look for a career in say social science, राइट? और तो उस वो डायलॉग्स होने बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज there's a lot of स्टिग्मा, राइट? लोगों को लगता है कि बीए हो, बीए बीएड इन सब का कोई स्कोप नहीं है. सो आई थिंक दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बिकॉज this is a very common thing that you'll see, right? Students ले लेते हैं मैथ्स एंड साइंस 11th and 12th में, and then they struggle, and like eventually वो ड्रॉप आउट हो जाते हैं, नॉट एबल टू क्लियर. सो आई फील इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि हम इस मामले में और डायलॉग करें. आई थिंक करियर ऑप्शंस तो बहुत हैं. there's also lot of NGOs and government are working on this, but what is needed is you convey it. It has to be like communicated to the parents in a manner that they understand ki okay, maths and science is not perhaps a subject for me, why don't I explore something in humanities?
Very helpful. Okay, so there's another comment that I'd like to bring up at this point. In your experience, what role does mentorship play in successful career counseling, and how can teachers initiate the same?
Yeah. So, so I think mentoring is like a long time process, right?
Yes.
हमारे we all have like a few mentors. I mean, most of my mentors have been my teachers from either school or college. So, and I think the aim of mentoring is to ensure that uh, your mentees are they have better skills, they become better than who you are. For instance, 10 20 years ago, it was considered that agar B.Ed degree hai so then you are a teacher, that's enough. That's matlab, in a way B.Ed degree was seen as an end of teaching profession, ki B.Ed hai to theek hai, that's enough, aur aage nahi padhna hai. In today's time I feel B.Ed is perhaps a starting degree, right? So today, if I had to advise someone on making a career in teaching sector, I would rather tell them, you do like a BA, B.Ed or a BSc B.Ed. Hence, so the point is कि mentoring is something that teachers कर रहे हैं. वो मतलब I don't think हमें उन्हें बताना है कि नहीं मैम आपको mentoring करना चाहिए. वो तो लाइफ लॉन्ग प्रोसेस रहता है. आज भी आई एम श्योर सारे टीचर्स के जो पुराने बच्चे हैं दे विल कम बैक कि मैम मेरे को ये एग्जाम क्लियर करना है, या मैम मेरे को कनेक्ट करा दीजिए आप किसी ने to say some CA or someone who's done an MBA. तो mentoring तो खैर एक लॉन्ग टाइम प्रोसेस है, एंड आई थिंक उसकी बस शुरुआत देयर इज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट टू इट, एंड वो तो फिर चलते रहता है. बच्चे स्कूल और कॉलेज से निकल जाते हैं एंड देन दे विल स्टिल कम बैक टू देयर टीचर्स आस्किंग फॉर हेल्प. सो yeah, does that answer the question? Is that what they had asked?
Yes, definitely. Like I was connecting it sort of because as our audience members can also know that ma'am has also been a part of Teach for India fellowship, and she still mentors some of her kids, as she mentioned to me. So I
Yeah.
was talking in that way, that is there some successful story that you could share with
Yeah,
us?
so I would just like so I joined the Teach for India fellowship in 2013-15, and I think life has come in a circle that and I started teaching grade 6 in a school in Delhi. So students वो 6 and 7 को जो पढ़ाया था, now they have passed out and they have actually joined the Teach for India fellowship. मतलब 10 years complete हुए, एंड मेरे कुछ क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिन्होंने फेलोशिप फिर से ज्वाइन किया है. तो मेंटरिंग आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं उन्होंने देखा था, वही है ना, लाइक कुछ टीचर्स हमारे होते हैं who are there with us, all throughout our life. So I
Absolutely.
think उस वे में हेल्प किया था. So I think, like I said, वो mentoring मैंने शुरू किया था कि अच्छा, because they came to me in 9th standard, and फिर हमने बोला था कि चलो, let's look for some other better school for you. Then they came back to me in 10th की मैम हम क्या करियर लें. फिर वो लोग 12th में आए, and अभी, two of my children have come to me saying that, ma'am, I want to do the Teach for India movement also.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think teacher is like a lifelong mentor.
Absolutely. So, like you were mentioning that they came back to you asking what school to shift to or what to take. What were
Yeah.
some of the challenges you faced while mentoring them? Being in that kind of an, like Teach for India gives you a certain type of environment to teach in, right? With limited
Right.
resources and limited reach to things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
So I think mentoring may one I think the challenge the I think the only challenge that I would face is that there were a lot of things जिसका मेरे को आंसर नहीं आता था. तो I think it's तो फिर मैं बोलती थी कि that I'll go back and मैं इसको सीख के बताऊंगी. Someone asked me something on animation and I said,
right.
I don't know. So then I connected him to a friend के
Somebody.
friend who has done मतलब who's worked in animation sector for like 10-20 years. So वो भी I think when we speak of career counseling, we don't have all the answers, right? किसी के पास भी
Absolutely.
नहीं है, वो टीचर हो, वो कोई भी हो. So it's very important कि हम connect करें. जब हम collaborate कर रहे हैं, we not only collaborate uh, with NGOs, but we also collaborate with individual people. Someone has a career in say animation. आपके बच्चों को वो सीखना है. You connect them. आप उनको you could in fact ये जो schools में आजकल है like no bag day का concept
Yeah.
चला है ना, when children just come to school, they don't bring their bags. So that day, I think those days can be very effectively used for these career counseling session. You could call a resource person who will come, who will give like a 45 minutes talk on not on how to clear a particular exam, but mostly on what is, like, if a child wants to become a police officer, what does a life of police officer look like? I
Look
think
like.
that is very important.
To imagine the kind of thing that
हाँ,
they would be.
क्या challenges होते हैं, हाउ जब आप क्रिमिनल्स का डील कर रहे हो, आप कैसे डील करते हो,
Yeah.
वुमेन का पुलिस कांस्टेबल का होना, आई थिंक
Yes.
वो
Mm-hmm.
बच्चे भी उस स्टेज में होते हैं ना, व्हेन जब 9th स्टैंडर्ड से 12th स्टैंडर्ड एक एज है व्हेन वी स्टार्ट, हम आइडलाइज करते हैं, वी वांट, हमारे रोल मॉडल्स बनने शुरू होते हैं. तो जब हम लोगों को ऐसे इफ यू ब्रिंग देम एज गेस्ट स्पीकर्स, बच्चों को खुद की लाइफ में इंटरेस्ट आना शुरू होता है, दैट ओके आई आई हर्ड हिम स्पीक एंड मैं ये
Mm-hmm.
बनना चाहूंगा या चाहूंगी. So we could use no backs days को हम one way in which we can start career counseling in session is every no back day में we call a speaker
Yeah.
जो एक particular topic में बात करेगा और करेगी.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's a great idea, actually. So, for all our teachers here, this is a very nice activity to incorporate in your schools. That you have a no bag day where you include a session on to entertain such questions from students on what they would like to be, or to invite guests and let them have a discussion. So, moving on, since we talked about challenges that you faced. Um, I have a question here. In government schools where class sizes can be unusually large than the normal ones, how can teachers like personalize career counseling, to meet each and every student effectively? I mean, this needn't be from your perspective, but generally, what do you advise as somebody who's been in this arena?
um so ma'am, I think so the first thing would be to use, I think Tamanna could be a great resource that you can look at. uh, तो तो like I said, of course class size बड़ा है, it is difficult जब when you have about 90 students,
Yes.
personalized support देना शायद मुश्किल हो, but at least we could start by saying कि okay, let's try to put you into 3 categories, and then we'll pick up, like we spend 1 month हम सिर्फ we'll talk about career options in commerce, next month we'll move to science, and third month, or in the
Yes.
third quarter we'll move to say arts and humanities. In fact, it could also matlab, it'll be nice if this thing of career counseling could be added to their academic calendar,
Mhm.
right? जुलाई अगस्त सितंबर वी आर हम बच्चों को इंट्रोड्यूस करा रहे हैं करियर ऑप्शंस इन साइंस, देन 3 next quarter in arts and the third quarter in say commerce. So that is one way in which I think you हम कर सकते हैं.
Mhm.
पर्सनलाइज देना तो मैम आई थिंक पीटीएम्स वे होता है. A
Mhm.
lot of states have made it mandatory. They have a dedicated day towards PTM. So in
Mhm.
PTMs, I think parent teacher meeting may it will be nice if you could spare some time and have that one-on-one conversation with the parent and the student on career options.
Right. Okay. So PTMs are a great way to incorporate this without making it overwhelming for the students and for the teachers, right?
करेक्ट, विच इट डज राइट. बच्चों को भी सडनली उनको लगता है
Yes.
इतना सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन आ गया है, तो उसको
Mm-hmm.
हम छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स में उसको ब्रेक कर रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक पीटीएम्स काफी हेल्प कर सकते हैं
Yeah.
मैसेज करने के लिए.
Especially when you are in ninth and 10th and you have a lot of, academic load within yourself, gets
या
quite. So on that strain, do you have an idea of specific age or a class that when a student should start getting career counseling? Like, is there a certain, age gap or a grade that they should be in when this should start?
Yeah, I feel maybe ninth standard would be
Okay,
like a good, you know,
good time to start
good
thinking
time
about
to
it.
start. Yes, and
Okay.
in ninth standard, I think state. It's very important for the state to introduce institutional support in terms of giving students option. Okay, like after
Hmm.
school, you have you can attend these classes on vocational courses.
Yeah.
So I think that can be like the starting point.
Right.
And then and by the time and then so 2 years, like I feel the child gets some exposure into vocational
Hmm.
courses, and then by the time they come to 10th, they'll get some idea. Because if you bring it in 10th, I think it's too late. So
Yeah.
ninth would be a good option. 2 years, you get
Hmm.
like a lot of time to understand and decide which career, or which career do you want to have your which domain do you want to have your career in.
Okay. Okay. So now that we are discussing about when we can start career counseling and what are the challenges that teachers can face, I just have a question that's not so teacher oriented, but it's definitely helpful. It is that like, what are the strategies that a teacher can employ when a student is facing like setbacks or uncertainties? Like, they thought they would go on a certain direction, but it turns out that this is not something that's suiting them or they want to change. So what are the things that teachers can utilize to handle such a situation? Or have you seen such a situation yourself, maybe?
Yeah, I have seen that in my brother. So, see,
Okay.
we grew up in Delhi, very
Mm-hmm.
privileged. We went to a private school, and I remember that my brother had taken science, and 1 month into, maybe it was around August or September, he said, "I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do science. It's very difficult. I'm going to switch to, I cannot do science, and I want to take commerce or say humanities." So I think the first thing is that a lot of this comes because see, we also have to address that career counseling का need ही इस बात से आया था
Mm-hmm.
that the curriculum till class 10th,
Mm-hmm.
and then what you learn in class 11, there is a huge gap.
Gap.
10th
Yes.
तक there it's fairly easy, you kind of understand, but
Mm-hmm.
11 आते ही it
Completely
becomes
different.
complex, है ना. आप देखो, केमिस्ट्री ही देख लो ना, या
Mm-hmm.
इवन एनी सब्जेक्ट, केमिस्ट्री में देख लो, 7 सडनली 11 12 में यू हैव ऑर्गेनिक, इनऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, जो भी है, मतलब
Yes.
वो जो जंप होता है वो बच्चे के लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है. एंड आई
Mm-hmm.
थिंक that's a curricular
Yeah.
challenge रहता है. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing, तो I think it is, शुरुआती इस बात से करो that it's okay. It's okay. Even if you have spent 2-3 months and you realize कि ma'am I cannot do science, it's okay. You can always drop, and आप एज टीचर्स हमें वो एक सपोर्टिव एनवायरनमेंट देना बहुत जरूरी है. इट्स नॉट द एंड ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, राइट. हम लोग सब समझते, वी ऑल हैव बीन एट दैट प्लेस आवरसेल्फ. सो इट्स नॉट द एंड ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. इट्स ओके. इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि हम वो बच्चे को एक सपोर्टिव एनवायरनमेंट दे सकें, बोल सकें कि ठीक है, एंड देन ओके, इफ नॉट दिस, व्हाट डू वी डू नेक्स्ट. इस तरीके से वी कैन स्टार्ट। इट्स वेरी नॉर्मल आई थिंक कि काफ़ी बच्चे एक एक्साइटमेंट में सब्जेक्ट ले लेते हैं, बट वंस ही स्टार्ट स्टडिंग दे रियलाइज़ कि यार ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है। एंड 11th-12th इटसेल्फ इज़ लाइक अ वेरी इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट राइट? बच्चों को करिकुलम वो रहता
Yeah.
है, सिलेबस बहुत फास्ट चलता है। So I think the
Yeah.
answer is just providing a supportive environment.
Hmm. So I think this goes the same for parents as well at a home, giving the same kind of environment to children
Yeah,
who are feeling confused or want to take a different route, so to
yeah,
support them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And isme I would like to add, like, and this is where I feel that vocational education part is very important,
Hmm.
right? So uh, the reality in a lot of rural school is like it's
Difficult.
काफी डिफिकल्ट है राइट इट्स वेरी
Yes.
डिफिकल्ट सो इसीलिए आई फील दैट इफ यू हैव अ गुड वोकेशनल एजुकेशन का सिस्टम एंड
Hmm.
इंस्टीट्यूशनल जो स्टेट से आया है सो
Hmm.
दैट व्हाट हैपेंस उससे क्या होता है दैट देयर इज एन ऑल्टरनेटिव करियर जो बच्चे का डेवलप हो रहा है सो
Yes.
इवन इफ द चाइल्ड इज लाइक मेरे से पढ़ाई नहीं होता है देर
Hmm.
इज समथिंग सॉलिड जो बच्चा सीख रहा है ऐसा नहीं है द चाइल्ड इज गोइंग टू स्कूल एंड कमिंग बैक द चाइल्ड
Very
इज
true.
लर्निंग समथिंग so
Hmm.
here I feel that we should give एक systematic एक organized तरीके से हमें vocational education को introduce करना होगा school पे at
Very true.
ninth level. Ninth would be like a good class to introduce vocational education.
So, do you personally feel that vocational education has the same kind of an impact as taking up a course and going to college and studying?
No, no, it doesn't. So how I feel is that
Hmm.
I think you learn a skill, you do
Yeah.
both, right? You
Yes.
do both, है
Hmm.
ना? So
You can't
of
replace
course
one, is your point.
you cannot. No, no,
Uh-huh.
no, 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 you cannot because
Okay.
the when we talk of education,
Hmm.
we want our next generation to be in a certain manner, and that can only happen through the regular school system.
Very true. Hmm.
At the same point of time we also want our children to be independent,
Yes.
not just in terms of doing things on their own, but
Hmm.
knowing a lot of skills that is outside textbook, that is outside school, right? So I would ideally my suggestion would be कि बच्चों को
Hmm.
दोनों आना चाहिए, right? some
Absolutely.
skills like टेलरिंग और
Life skills.
कारपेंट्री, लाइफ स्किल्स वो बहुत ही जरूरी है, स्पेशली रूरल
Absolutely.
सेटअप पे विद गर्ल्स। अगर कुछ भी वर्कआउट नहीं होता है यू एटलीस्ट हैव सम स्किल जिसमें यू कैन स्टार्ट फ्रॉम स्क्रैच,
Absolutely. Hmm.
एंड दैट काइंड ऑफ ओपन्स डोर्स टू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप।
Yes. Okay. So, just maintaining that, the dialogue on employment and job seekingness. So, in regions with like limited job markets, like, can you share like insights on incorporating internships and part-time jobs that students take before school or during their college time that can help build their careers? What is the importance, or what is from your experience what you felt, how it shaped you as a person?
Yeah. So see, like I I did college about 10 years ago, and I think at
Mm.
that time we had internships only in college.
Yes.
कॉलेज में हम लोग करते थे इंटर्नशिप। सो बट राइट नाउ आई थिंक इंटर्नशिप्स आर अ
Mm.
ग्रेट वे इन विच वी कैन गेट इनसाइट इनटू द वर्क और वो काम कैसा है, कैसा होगा। सो उस तरीके से आई थिंक हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस जो है
Mm.
वो मेरे ख्याल से इंटर्नशिप देता है। सो
Yeah.
कहीं कहीं जगह पे आई थिंक बाय अगर एक वन ऑन वन कन्वर्सेशंस पे हम पूछ सकते हैं,
Mm-hmm.
जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल स्टोर कीपिंग है, राइट? अगर
Mm-hmm.
रूरल इफ यू वांट टू डू लाइक सेक्रेटरीशिप का कोर्स करना है, सो
Mm-hmm.
यू कुड परहैप्स गो एंड यू नो maybe speak to the to some shopkeeper कि I will come and I'll spend 2 years learning कि ये store कैसे चलता है,
Mm-hmm.
right? So हर जगह मतलब like not I understand कि avenues कम है, but I
Mm-hmm.
think going and talking और अगर if teacher या head of school अगर किसी इंस्टीट्यूट के साथ टाई अप कर सकते हैं तो वो बच्चों को हेल्प करेगा वो स्किल सीखने में। एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस है बिकॉज चिल्ड्रन हैव अ टेंडेंसी कि मेरे को 4-5 चीजें करनी है, बट अगर वो 4-5 चीजों में थोड़ा इंसाइट मिल जाता है इट विल हेल्प देम टू आइडेंटिफाई अच्छा आई थिंक these five things hai, but this is what I'm comfortable doing and this is what I want to do. So to make that right choice, I think internships are useful.
Useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in local, and if you're speaking of difficult terrain,
Mm-hmm.
jo, uh, schools or
Yeah.
children who are in terrain, in
Mm-hmm.
in difficult terrain, I think for them, I think again coming back to vocational education, I strongly believe that it helps you to have a livelihood of your own. Right? कुछ भी नहीं है, if suppose there is COVID or there is something else कि you're not
Yes.
finding job, you'll always have something, you have a skill जो आप कर सकते हो, and later then market, and जब situations better हो जाते हैं, you can always come back and you can continue your your education. We also have open schooling, we have
Yes.
distance education, which I
Mm-hmm.
which मतलब avenues हैं to come back and continue education while when things become better. The reality hai, a lot of children, they have to take break, family
Yes.
situations, their socioeconomic factors say they are forced to take break. And I think when you have like a job of your own,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's useful, you could do
Very
that
much.
and then you could come back to this later.
Okay. So to sum it up, you were talking about the importance of vocational education and doing internships wherever necessary and wherever you have an opportunity. So those are the things that shape one's career.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now moving on, do you recommend some sort of, self-assessment tools or tests that students can take to understand what they would be interested in for their careers, to build their careers?
Yeah. So, one thing that I've heard a lot of students and teachers use is the NCRT's Tamanna.
Okay.
Mansi, I've shared it on your on the chat box. So, I mean, if you could just quickly show it to others. So this is, it's pretty comprehensive. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, just a second. I'll just present that screen then.
Ha, please.
Yes, the screen is up. So, any
Yeah.
tab you want to discuss?
Yeah, I think we could just, I mean, if you scroll down, see, you have
Mm-hmm.
four booklets, right? There are four
Yes.
documents that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the text booklet, you have the technical manual, then you also have
Mm-hmm.
guide for parents and teachers. So something that you asked, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can teacher help? How can teacher and parent come together and support? I think this manual, it's a pretty well done, website. And
Mm-hmm.
if you look further down, there are career options in every sector. Someone wants to do art,
Yeah,
art and craft,
psychology, social work. Mm-hmm.
social work, yeah. And there are like nice videos that uh, how do
Mm-hmm.
how do school principal introduce, or how can they start it? How can they start having these conversation? And what I like about this website is that there's an online test, that's the
Yeah.
provision is there, right? And see, when we say test, it's not like a pass or a fail test. So these are
Mm-hmm.
basically, like I said, how do you reply to a certain situation, and based
Mm-hmm.
on that वो backend में suggest करेगा, अच्छा आपने इसके लिए ऐसे respond किया है, so
Mm-hmm.
this is what your behavior is, and hence इस तरीके का career आपको suit करेगा. So hence we should ensure that you take this test from you should with an objective to learn, and not like acha, it's not a pass or fail test nahi hai, but it's just answer these tests honestly and then see कि इसमें क्या क्या career options आते हैं. Of course, there's a word of caution that I would say कि just ensure कि you don't take things as it is.
Yeah.
Also try to relate. You speak to your seniors from school, speak to teachers and see that okay ma'am, मेरे टेस्ट ने ये बताया था, this what I like, is it true? So I think teachers काफी कुछ बता सकते हैं, उनका बहुत ही बड़ा रोल रहता है. एंड आई थिंक ये हम सारे टीचर्स करते ही हैं, शॉर्ट
Mm-hmm.
टर्म में भी बच्चों को हेल्प करते हैं, लॉन्ग टर्म में भी करते हैं. सो
Mm-hmm.
एक अगर अगर कोई टीचर चाहती है कि मैम आई वांट टू हेल्प बट मेरे को पता नहीं व्हाट्स अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट, ये
Yeah.
वी कुड दे दे कुड यूज इट. एंड
Yes.
Can everyone see the chat box?
No, that's just
Okay, so
yeah. I'll
maybe you
post
can,
the link on the yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
please do share it with teachers, and this could be one where जो हम देख सकते हैं.
Yes. Okay. So, thank you, Pooja, for such an insightful conversation. Is there anything that you would like to share apart from our discussion today, just on the topic of career counseling, to all the teachers that are here today?
Uh, no, I would, matlab, I think I would just quickly, just summarize,
Mhm.
when you said that what's the role of teachers in career counseling, I just
Mhm.
see basically five things, that just comes on the top of my head. So first is that you developing practical skills,
Yeah.
right? Promoting entrepreneurship in
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
When I say entrepreneurship, encouraging children to learn things on their own, and हो सके तो you go and try to do it, है ना?
Mhm.
9th क्लास के बच्चे ने टेलरिंग सीखा है, एनकरेज
Mhm.
बच्चों को करें कि अच्छा अपने
Mhm.
आजू बाजू में कुछ चीजें आप स्टिच करें, उसको डिस्प्ले करें,
Mhm.
राइट? एंड तो दैट इज वन. सेकंड थिंग मेरे को ये आता है कि पेरेंट को इस डायलॉग में ज़रूर एनकरेज करें, स्पीक टू
Absolutely.
पेरेंट, एंड उनको बताएं कि अच्छा इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि सारा बच्चा मैथ्स में अच्छा, सबको ही एक फॉर्मल
Yeah.
करियर मिलता है. देयर आर ऑल्सो चिल्ड्रन who would like to take a break, learn, do, like you said, you do things, do an internship,
Mhm.
do it, and then you can always go back and go back to your academics and study through either an open schooling or through
Mhm.
distance learning. Cultivate critical thinking. I think that's very very important.
Absolutely.
आज के टाइम पे we all have access to a lot of things. What really differentiates you from me is your ability, or our
Mhm.
ability to
Mhm.
to present a different perspective on something, है ना? So critical thinking is a very important element, and I think classroom में discussions के through, debate के थ्रू ये चीज़ों को मतलब बच्चों में कल्टिवेट होना चाहिए. इट्स ओके
Yes.
व्हाटएवर देयर स्टांसेस ऑन एनी, एंड वन थिंग अबाउट न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट, राइट?
Yes.
अगर कोई इंटरव्यू में 2 कैंडिडेट्स आते हैं एंड दोनों
Mhm.
ही अगर स्किल वाइज अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, the recruiter is likely to take the one who has like
Yeah.
who has like some fresh or new perspective. So
Absolutely.
hence promote reading habit in children. रोज न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना बच्चे में आप जरूर encourage करें. Developing of soft skills, I think negotiation I feel सबसे बड़ा skill है, and how to get the work done, right?
Mhm.
लोगों से कैसे बात करना है,
Mhm.
किससे किस तरीके से बात करके कैसा काम कराना है, वो
Mhm.
तरीके के skills I think टीच बच्चों में होना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Mhm.
And lastly, you how they adapt themselves to technology. So
Mhm.
this calls for a collaboration with NGOs. It calls for a
Mhm.
collaboration with subject experts who could come and help children learn जो भी कोर्सेस हैं टेक्नोलॉजी में, व्हाटएवर द कोर्सेस आर, तो उसको सीखने में एंड उसको एक प्रॉपर तरीके से सीखना, राइट? लाइक
Mhm.
टेक्नोलॉजी इज लाइक अगेन ह्यूज, यू
Yeah.
लर्न स्किल्स दैट जो आप वर्क में यूज करोगे.
Mhm.
सो आई थिंक दिस फाइव वुड बी द top things that teachers should keep in mind when they are speaking of career counseling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap up, just a final question to you.
Yeah.
We talked so much about how we can help, how we can encourage teachers to know more about career counseling and what are the ways, what are the small elements that we can understand. I
Mm.
wanted to ask you, what are the things that teachers can do for helping students set realistic, career goals and achievable career goals? Because as much as landing, shooting for the stars is important and dreaming big is important, it's also important to understand realistic goals, the ones that
Yeah.
you can manage, you can achieve, and you can do it in a way where you're healthy mentally and physically. So, are there some, tips and techniques or any advice that you would like to give?
So I think it's just communicating, very honestly with children
Mm-hmm.
that uh, these are their strengths and these are their weakness. I think it just starts from there. व्हेन
Okay.
चिल्ड्रन आर अवेयर कि ये हम कर सकते हैं और ये हम नहीं कर सकते हैं, वो
Mm-hmm.
ऑटोमैटिकली उनको ग्राउंड रियलिटी का पता चल जाता है। दैट्स अ
True.
रियलिटी चेक फॉर देम।
Yes.
राइट, जब तक हम कम्युनिकेट नहीं करेंगे या
Mm-hmm.
हम कर नहीं पाते हैं व्हाटएवर, सो तब तक बच्चा भी एक इम्प्रेशन में रहता है दैट ओह आई कैन डू इट ऑल, बट रियलिटी
Absolutely.
अलग होता है। सो
Mm-hmm.
आई थिंक टॉक टू चिल्ड्रन
Mm.
एंड नो योर चिल्ड्रन, लाइक आई थिंक वी आर कमिंग बैक टू
Yeah.
वेयर वी स्टार्टेड.
Coming back to the same thing. Yes.
Yeah, so there is an element of portfolio,
Yes.
in under CC. तो उसमें it's very important कि teachers हर बच्चे के बारे में इतना जान सके कि अच्छा ये बच्चे का strength and weakness क्या है, because वो strength and weakness से ही बच्चा like teachers guide कर पाएंगे. Okay, I want you should have a career here, or this is what you should do. So that would be to have honest conversations, through PTMs or through one-on-one with,
Okay.
with children. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Pooja. It was great to have you here and share so much. I know we took a lot of your time, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mansi. And I
And
hope
yes,
from the little that I know, I hope I was able to, answer. And I hope this webinar is useful for children who want to, teachers who want to work and support their children with career choices.
thank you. So before
Yeah.
we end, I'd just like to show a few things to the teachers. I'll just present my screen. Um, yes. So teachers, as you've all participated today and you have watched our webinar, you will be receiving a certificate of participation. So at the end of this session, there will be a small Google form that will be shared for recording your attendance, and you will receive a participation certificate 24 hours later. I'll just show you a small way to understand where you can get it from. As shown here, there'll be a small attendance form button that you can press, and you'll be directed to where you can fill in your details. And next step is to visit our platform. Kindly go through our modules, all the teacher learning materials that are available on the website. Kindly go through that and take a look at it, and we hope to see you for the next session. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Pooja. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for joining. Good day.